I want to have my own D&D campaign, and I was inspired by this guy here, Downforgecast, and I watched many of his videos, and then that inspired me to DM with many of my friends. And while developing my own campaign, I made my own world and whatnot, and one of the things that I wanted a lot was a quest. And I wanted my own quest. I know that copying I'm something that I'm not ashamed of, but many of the quests that I can think of, the simple quests at least that I can find, they are not entirely what I want, because I wanted a lot of moral choices and questions in my thing, and many of the quests that I can think of, it was pretty hard to make something on my own. So I was looking in online to see how other people did it, and then here is one of the website that I found, dndwiki.com, and then I found a lot of 3.5 quests. My quest is in 5th edition, but I mean I can convert it pretty easily. So I thought it'd be helpful if I would upload a video about moral choices and then how a quest can be turned into something more difficult in terms of player choices. So I want to start a video with something that I really liked. This one, Chasing Charity. I think this quest is a wonderful idea. I have one in open in the tab or whatever. This is how this website works, so that they just have a bunch of quests, and then they have a history and whatnot, and then play time. Prep time 15 to 30 minutes. I don't know about that. Depends on the preparation time. It'll take longer, I would assume. For me, let's just go through this, and then I will say what kind of way do we have to make this quest more morally difficult. So hook is, it stars a young street girl steals something, so basically the cat burglar, and then stealing stuff from you, pretty common story, and then players will be chasing, but this one has a sick sister, so that if you would catch her or kill her, then probably sisters will be dead as well, because they would not have money to heal or anything. So at the beginning, stage 1, the chase. So they stole a lot of gold, and she's running away, and now you have to chase them. So you chase her, and then the pursues, and then now is a lot of environment, so that I would say a lot of roles. For me, I was gonna say tripwire, she meant, like this one is mentioning, but I think like barrels, or the one person, like she is like hitting you with a frying pan as he turns around, and whatnot would be entertaining as well. But they're not moral questions. And once she runs away, she goes into the sewage, and then she finds this bunch of kobolds. And she is first not being seen by them until she falls down from this wall, and now she is going to be severely hurt. And the kobolds are gonna be like, kill that intruder, and players will be like, save the little girl now, and then they'll be fighting combats. And this, they're gonna be summoning vipers too, and I think this is a very interesting way of increasing difficulties dynamically to make it fit for multiple different levels, because it's harder to sometimes put multiple creatures, and it's always to have something changing dynamic in the combat. So I think like summoning Viper ritual, so that one kobold is always concentrating and then not like actually fighting, and once after that turn, maybe, or even in that turn, or at the dying breath, it summons this Viper, and then you have to fight that thing, and depends on your level, you will get more of them or less of them. So that's a DM discretion. I think that's a very handy tool for any campaigns to have, and this is a very good design. I like it. And Crow Castle, and then she said, well, I am super hurt and whatnot, and if the player characters decide not to turn her away, like turn her into guard, or kill her themselves, then decide to help her, then she will bring them into two of her sisters. And with bunch of checks, well, the 5.0 doesn't have alchemy or biology, so that this would be nature check or medical check, and so level checks work too. So after those checks, then they will know that they can cure the girls with this healing potion and a treatment. And next quest will be finding out the components that they need to cure her, or probably they can buy her like a proper doctor or like proper ingredients as well. But that would cost a little bit more for the cost of convenience. And as a reward, this is a very creative reward because she's a thief and then she knows very well and the areas and people. Now the players have access to the thief who knows the area very well, and then she can tell you a thing or two about the sewage or like a secrets in this little town. And that is a very interesting. And her sister is a mechanic, so that you can have like maybe have this broken artifact and she can try to tinker that to fix it or figure out what it does to get the right lead. And this one is, I think, is more of a hook. Maybe she doesn't talk and she just stares at the players, and maybe she sees something of the players, or maybe she doesn't talk because she has some trauma in the past, and then maybe players can help them. And this is all really good setup, and then this is a really good reward, and this is a really good campaign in general. But one thing that I wanted to add on top of this was moral choices. Because other than the fact that you are turning her, like not turning her in, so if you're a lawful character and then you know she's a thief, then, well, even if if it is lawful good, then you will be like, she have her sisters and whatnot, and then they're not gonna turn her in. You just saved her, and highly likely you're not hostile towards her, hopefully. And that is intended because you're supposed to feel morally obligated to help those little girls. So one thing to make this choice hard is not making a little girl. I mean, it is cute to have the psycho character, but imagine if the thief who stole your wallet is a big man with scars on his face, and then he is the father of Grace and Alice. So those, instead of being sisters, two little sisters, maybe two daughters, but you don't know that, and he's a thief. And you will be much morally less obligated to help them because you have one less reason to help her, because it's not little anymore. And in our society, we have a tendency to help the kids and whatnot, but not the adults in the same situation. So that makes a choice a little bit harder, and also by helping him, it also makes the reward much more valuable because you made a harder choice on saving them. Also, to make the choice harder, you see this kobold here. Kobolds are very interesting because players are kind of racist towards kobolds and goblins as well, and orcs. So if enemies are goblins or kobolds, then they automatically tell them, they're bad. Well, and they're cultists too, and then there's some murders and they attack them first. But let's say instead of kobold cult, let's say it's a bunch of poor guys in the sewage, and they are angry townsfolk who have their money stolen from the thief charity, and they want their money back, and then they failed their business, or they had the important thing but she stole it, and now she is getting paid for it, so they are lynching her with fists and kicks and whatnot. And, well, the players have less reason to stop them or even fight them. And especially when they even say something like, we will turn her into the guard right away. Then to save her, then, well, they have to go against, either convince them or stop them forcibly. It makes the choices for the players much harder and much more interesting. Also, instead of having her, and I thought that choice of having an angry townsfolk may be too hard of a choice. I thought maybe it could be a bunch of thugs or thieves. This is the same moral question, but it's slightly easier because they're thieves and they're evil too. So they're gonna say like, well, this is not your business, and then to turn away and walk away, then no one will have to get hurt other than this one. But, and I think it makes the campaign more interesting when there is a moral dilemmas or some sort of a more interesting choice to be made, because most of these are pretty easy choices. in terms of campaign. That's why I think this campaign is very well designed, because most of the choices, it directs the players into a certain direction in a way. And if you have, I think as a game developer, I think that game is most interesting when you have two choices that are equally viable. In this case, then most of the choices are one-sided in a way. Depends on your alignment. But I think in my campaign, if I would use it, I would make those changes and have it a little bit more interesting. And I really like it. And let's take a look at the next one. I have there's a lot of quests here, and then you guys, if you're interested, you should check this in. There are a few interesting ones, and there's few not very interesting one. And a dirty way in is one of those things that just in the look, it looks pretty simple. It's a dungeon crawler. And then you have in the city of Redford, they have a noble called Alexander, and you have to assassinate this guy. So you'll be receiving the quest from a bunch of other guys. So Lucas, the sheriff, will say that this guy is a criminal lord, and then this guy needs to be brought to justice. Or you will say, he ruined my life, and like this guy needs to pay for it. Or the corrupt nobles will be like, this guy have been like way too out of hassle for us, or he broke a deal with us, and he must be eliminated. So players are now the assassins, and or the free people, or the vigilante, or the law, like a person who is executing the hand of law and bringing the law. They're planning the attack, and they'll be going around from the locals and gathering informations, and they'll be going into this sewer. And sewer is very interesting. There's like rats in this area, and there is like a crazy prophet, I think it was in this area, A4. There is maybe it's not this one. And yeah, one of them, there is like a mad sorcerer. Oh yeah, E4, A4. Yeah, there's a mad sorcerer, and there are rats, and then there are disease and low lives. And there is also the crazy people who are maniac camp, which are like willing to kill you. And like binds and traps, and is very well made. So that you can get information from this guy that there are maniac camps here, and then you shouldn't like enter them, and then there's like a trap of a bind, and you can go through them. And once you go through all of these and then get to the proper room to confront Alexander, then he will be like, he is a man who is like gave up on his life, and he is like, I want to die and I'm nothing left over, but he remembers his last minute, like the glory of the old time, and then he like fights back, and then like he draws his swords and fight till the death at first opportunity. And this is pretty plain and interesting campaign. It's not always interesting as a charity in my opinion, but if I were to make this quest add something on top of it, like if I would add some moral questions, then I would have a little bit less reasons, a little bit different reasons, maybe not even truthful reasons to kill him. So Lucas, for example, this one is pretty legit, but let's say the noble, maybe the done with life noble, he deserved it. Maybe he did something, he brought that onto himself. Maybe he said that he will bring this shipment to Alexander as this time, and then he didn't. And well, as a like a contract, he had like took his land away and whatnot, and that is lawful and legal. And although this noble lost everything and then think this is like unjust, but it was actually just. Thus giving players harder time, and same for this corrupt nobles if they were aware of the fact that they were corrupt, and then the reason they want this Alexander gone is something of a not right reason. Maybe Alexander is preventing corrupt nobles from doing something even more corrupt, and if you kill Alexander, then the quest will be much more beneficial for these person. And maybe this law as well, maybe the law that he committed, like no one is sure about, and publicly, like there is no proof that this Lucas guy is like convinced that it is the doings of Alexander, just because of his reputation. and it'd be more interesting if the players had met him before this campaign. So like this guy, this campaign creatively describes that he have no reason to live and that he's about to give up on his life. So you can make that fact so that, let's say you're walking into this bar, or you see this man who is drinking and drinking in the field, and you have to talk to them, or you don't have to, but you can see that person, or you should get the players to interact with him before they receive this quest, and talk to him in person, and then ask him like, why are you so down? And then maybe the wife died or a kid had been killed, and he is super depressed, and then ever since then he doesn't feel like the reason to live is not there anymore, and then he is into drinking, and his lands, he knows his people are suffering, and he knows that he's causing trouble, but he just can't hold it together. And maybe the players have to comfort him and then say that you can do a better job, you can be better. And then you receive this quest, and then you even heard the Alexander says that I have ruined this noble's life, and everything is legal, and I did what I think was right, but I don't know the result that turned out to be well. And now this noble want him dead, and what do the players do? Would the players just go and kill him, kill the person who you just talked to about like having a better life? And how would Alexander respond to the fact that those travelers who was comforting him came to kill him? And it'd be a lot of interesting choices and a lot of moments of interaction. All the things that makes the quest and the D&D much more interesting. So, also I wanted to talk about something called dehumanization, which I remembered. Most of this campaign, if you see kobolds or this Alexander, there is a moment of dehumanization. You can say that this person is a criminal, or this person is a monster, therefore he should die. This process called dehumanization usually sucks the moral choices out. It makes them less powerful because players will not see them as human beings. And this type of thing is usually done before the war or before any signs of a racial massacre. So before the Jewish, German campaign to make the people not see the people as Jewish as a people, or like the something simple as police calling the criminals as dogs, or like criminals calling the police as whatever, like cops and whatnot. Those are the things that are dehumanization, and it makes the violent against those type of dehumanized people easier because you don't see them as equal, you always see them as lower. I believe there is a bunch of books about these topics too, but yeah, I think this campaign is definitely a good campaign too. Not as interesting as I mentioned, but hopefully with more humanization and more interaction, I think this campaign will be much more interesting. And what do you guys think about this videos and whatnot? This is first time for me to make this video, and I think going through the campaign and introducing what there is, like what kind of thing there is definitely helping me to prepare my campaigns, and hopefully this will prepare yours too, and then help you to get a better understanding of the campaigns, or even find out the new cool resources that you never knew before, or maybe help you see the resources in a different perspective. So, thank you for watching, and maybe if you like it, subscribe and like and whatnot. And I'll be making more of these videos and uploading them, hopefully more often than not. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.